Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Twilley. I'm the director of the Women's Business Center here at Maryland Capital Enterprises. And just to give you some information about us, we are a nonprofit based in Salisbury. We also have an office in Baltimore, and we help entrepreneurs get started in business or if they're already in business and trying to expand. We do business consulting, marketing consulting, training workshops such as this, and we also do small business loans. So if there's anything that we can help you with, we also help with business plans, cash flow projections, getting ready for the loan process as well. So if we can help you with anything, please let us know. I'll put my information in the chat so you guys have that. And today we have Lindsay Peel, who is the owner of Kingdom Vision Consulting. She is also a speaker and she is also a realtor. And I'm probably leaving lots of things out. So, Lindsay, you can let them know more. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa, and to the entire WBC and MCE teams for always having me. It has been a pleasure to be in partnership with you all for going on 5 years now. All
Yeah.
of Hello to all of our guests who are joining us now or who may also catch the recording a little later on. I'm so thankful that you all took the time to be with us today. We're going to talk about helping you to reshape your relationship with money. And because we have an intimate group, I'm going to do something a little differently. I'm going to pause the recording just so that we can talk to the folks who are here live, and then we'll resume our recording once we're back into the presentation.
Mhm.
Awesome. So I am going to share my screen. And as you all prepare for really our conversation today, because I want you all to engage with me, I want you to really think about what are those things about money, those thoughts, those habits, those fears, what are they? And just start to think about them as we navigate this conversation. Start to write them down in your journal, whatever that looks like. Type them on your notes on your computer so that you don't forget them. When it comes to really intentionally reshaping your relationship with money, we have to start with where we are. What are we starting with? What are the thought patterns, the habits, what are the things that we've seen really taking you back to your first money story? And if you're unable to sometimes go there with yourself to figure that part out, it makes it even harder to actually start implementing the things. So in today's conversation with reshaping your relationship with money, we're going to start with some of the basics. We're going to start with addressing you, the person, and not you, the entrepreneur, not you, the spouse, the parent, but you and yourself. So this is your quick moment of, lunch and learn and therapy, just for a second before you go back and tackle the rest of your day. We're going to talk about a little bit of our philosophies, financial values, how to help you to debunk stinking thinking and being able to reframe your mindset so that you can walk out feeling much stronger than you are. I always like to, especially in safe spaces, and I think here with my MCE WBC team, I feel pretty safe here. We've been doing this for a little while now.
Lindsay, did
Uh-huh.
you start recording again?
Yes, ma'am. We are recording again.
Okay, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Sorry.
Of course. We start to really think about what do I need to really get me up every day and to be semi-motivated to accomplish our goals and to manage our money, especially when money hasn't always been an easy topic of conversation for a lot of us. Some of us might have started, having financial conversations at the dinner table, and some of us might not. Some of us, might have saw healthy financial habits growing up. Some of us didn't. But I think one of the most consistent things for a lot of us is that we still need a solid foundation that will allow us to grow beyond what we knew and what we might want to know more of, or the things that we didn't know, right? And a part of that healing journey, a part of that journey of discovery is really being able to affirm yourself, being able to, although you might be furloughed, although you might be trying to figure out when the actual next check is going to come that doesn't say $0, you still want to affirm yourself through the process. because life will always happen. There's going to be something, there's going to be a pandemic, there's going to be a furlough, there's going to be something else. But we have to make sure that we are pouring into our foundation to help us to manage through those situations. So being able to repeat affirmations to yourself, like, I will worry less about my finances. Affirmations like, I will focus my efforts on earning more income. I will act often to implement effective change. I will listen intently to gain the knowledge I desire. I will learn to take calculated risks that advance my finances. I will break generational curses to heal my lineage. So when you actually start thinking those things to yourself, when you start, even if you don't really truly feel it all of the way, right? You got to try to faith it till you make it a little bit. Not fake it till you make it, but faith it till you make it, so that you can really be able to alter those thought patterns as they come. But you got to start pouring into them first before we start really disrupting the elements of our foundation. A part of our philosophy here, especially when we're thinking about reshaping our relationship with money, we think about setting the vision, right? Our company is Kingdom Vision Consulting, and all things are intentional. But what does that vision mean? What does it feel like, especially as we're navigating our finances, especially as we're shaking the ground, right, for what we want? Because I'm pretty sure if I asked you all here today, how many of you all want to have more than what you've ever had before? I'm pretty sure you all would raise your hand. Right? How many of you all want to leave more to your children than might have been what was left to you? Right? I'm pretty sure everybody would raise your hand. But we have to think about, what is that vision that is guiding that plan, right? What is that vision that's going to actually help you make those things a part of that reality? And I think one of the first things is really just valuing your worth. Who are you? Who do you show up as, right? And when you're a mom, when you're a spouse, an entrepreneur, right, an intrapreneur, we all know on the outside that you're superwoman, but do you know that you truly hold value, and not just about the production of your work, but you, the person, the woman, is valuable. And when you don't truly understand your value, it's going to be hard for you to really show up in business as that. It's going to be hard for you to sometimes justify the price tag that you put on your service, on that invoice, right? It's going to justify, right, that new product launch and that price tag that you actually want to put on that product. But if we're not too sure of our value, we're also not going to feel comfortable charging, which sometimes also creates cash flow issues, right? So we got to make sure that we're not missing the boat there, and really taking time to understand what that means and how to invest in knowing who you are and your level of confidence and in valuing yourself, but knowing that value, but also making sure that you're not forgetting to still invest in the growth, what I like to call those areas of opportunity, where I could have more of this over here, right? I can know a little bit more of this over there and invest in it. And it doesn't always have to cost you, multiple hundreds of dollars to invest in your growth. You can invest in it really for free every day. Most of us have a smart device, right? We have Google College, you got YouTube University, you got Chat GPT Academy, and everything else that you probably use. You can also invest in those areas that you need to know more of, that you want more support in. And as you gather that information, being able to start strategizing with intention. How many of you all who are here today, are you already planning for 2026? A little bit, right?
Yes. Yeah,
A
I
little
wasn't
bit.
sure. I was just thinking, like, what did you mean in terms of planning? I mean, yeah, obviously, I have a schedule into 2026. Um, but I try not to worry too much about the finances for 2026 and focus more on the now of where we are right there.
Yeah. And that's okay, right? I think that's a part of you being able to acknowledge where you are today, right?
Right.
But when we're thinking about you continuing to develop, not just as a CEO, but as the CEO of your finances too, there's a part of you that's going to have to get to the point where we are thinking ahead,
Yeah.
right? What is the 24-month game? What is the 5-year game? And yes, it takes time to get there, right? So thank you for acknowledging that. Lindsay, today, this is where we're at today. But right, think about where we are today and think about where you want to go, and
Yes.
start to strategize, right, with some intention. And strategizing with intention doesn't just mean that it has to be long-term strategy.
Right.
Strategizing for the right now with intention is still important. That's still a part of the vision. And
So
don't
maybe
forget,
doing that, I don't even realize by setting the contracts that I have up that are guaranteed to carry me through 2026. Maybe I'm not even realizing it intentionally that that is part of my strategy.
Exactly. Because there are a lot of people who can't say that. So you've already done a lot of the work, but sometimes we don't value the level of work that we've already done, right? Sometimes it's because we're on to the next thing, or sometimes we're floating in the now of, Lindsay, what do I have to take care of today versus, you know what, I've done this part, I've checked this box, and I can actually be excited about it while I still have other things I want to do, but still being able to acknowledge what you've done already.
That's true. Thank you for
Right.
pointing that out and making me realize that.
Of course. And listen, one thing I want you to do back is to find a moment in your day, whether it's a team member or a friend, right, to inspire them in the way that you were just inspired by helping them to identify something that they may not see. Right.
Okay.
So spend time pouring that type of energy back into the world, and it keeps coming back to you. But all of that is still a part of the vision of what you're building, especially because us as entrepreneurs, we create solutions to problems that exist. But
Right.
the way that we do it is different, right?
Mhm.
And I don't care how many slices of bread there are, right? Brands of bread, brands of tissue. You
Sure.
still have your specific way of doing what you do and doing it well.
Mhm.
And sometimes even you and me too, right? I don't always see that. So sometimes I need to be reminded that I do that so that I'm also reminded to go back out and pour it to somebody else, because you might encounter someone who hasn't been able to realize that about themselves yet either. And you might be that person to come and share that.
Yeah.
And that helps you to continue to build great businesses with great philosophies, operating in faith, right? And whatever you all believe in, right? As
Sure.
individuals. But knowing that there is, somebody out there, right, taking care of you, right, and
Yeah.
operating in faith. So many people feel like you have to fake it till you make it. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fake it. I'm gonna faith it. I'm gonna believe in it. I'm gonna speak it until it happens. I'm gonna keep working
Manifest.
with it until it happens. Even when we're going through the stuff, it might not be comfortable, but we gotta operate with the vision that we were given to do this thing, right? So lean into your faith of it. Because if you gotta choose, right, whether to be fearful and anxious all the time or operating with a little bit more faith that gives you a little bit more motivation to keep going, which one do we really want to choose for real?
Right.
And knowing that that's also a part of nourishing your legacy too, right? We're not working just to pass down the money and the assets and all the things, but we're also working to pass down emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Seeds of faith, right? Inspiration and motivation, right? In that space as well. That's still a part of your legacy. And don't forget that too. But when we really think about like our dollars and how we make decisions, we got to think about what are our current financial values. What are those pillars, right, in life that are important to you that you plan your finances around? So that could be like traveling. Traveling is very important to you. Your family, what does that look like? Self-care, what does that include? Your physical health, if it's business, philanthropy. What are those pillars that guide you? Because when we think about financial pillars, we think about the foundational elements that usually our blueprints are created around. And in this term, blueprint is a budget, but I know everybody doesn't love the budget word, so we like to call it a blueprint for your dollars. What do they speak to, right? For me, traveling is important because that's a part of my self-care. I tend to work a lot, so what helps me to escape is to travel. So that's a part of my budget, but I'm intentional about saving and doing the things that I need to do to make sure that I'm not traveling irrationally either. Right? So you can have things that are part of your financial pillars, right? But you just plan around them and not let them control what your blueprint looks like. So if you've never thought about it, I want you to think about it. Everybody gets growth work that you get to do beyond this workshop today. Think about what are your financial pillars? What are those things that are the most important to you? Because what you're also going to realize is that once you write these things down and you go back and look at your statements over the last couple of months, I want you to ask yourself, does my statement reflect my financial values that I just wrote down? And if they're misaligned, let's figure out why. And if they're aligned, right, let's also think about the figures and right, the allocations toward those particular areas? Are we allocating the best percentage in those particular areas? Just so you feel comfortable, both in your personal finances, but also these are things that you can do in your business too. What are your business values? What are your business's priorities? Business development and growth, is it hiring? Is it operations? What does that look like for your business? And then look at those business statements. Are we spending appropriately according to those values? And how do those values align with your overall strategic goals? Even if your strategic goals are 1 quarter at a time, you still want to make sure that those transactions are aligned with your goals, that should be aligned with your pillars. And sometimes this takes, you know, months to truly nail down, right? Because you might want to look at your financial habits, but you might think about, you know what? We launched this really big thing this month, so that might not be a fair month to consider across the average, right? We want to think about what are your normal averages. So start this process, right? And be intentional about it, but you may not fully get comfortable on identifying your personal and business pillars and how you allocate your budget around those things for another 30 to 60 days, and that's okay. I think the biggest thing here in today's conversation is that I want you all to get comfortable with doing the work, having the hard conversations. Being okay with saying, you know what, I have some areas of opportunity over here and I'm going to do something about it. A part of that is truly becoming the CEO of your wealth, right? Being able to create the vision of your money. What do you want that to look like? When you become what I like to call work optional, how do you want to live your life and then work your way backwards? Work optional, for some other people, they call it retirement. But for me, if I love what I'm doing, I might not ever really want to just completely retire and not do anything. I just want to get to a point where financially my portfolio supports me not working. It might not be right now, but I know what I'm working towards. So start there. What do you want your life to look like? Do you want to be able to be on the golf course or on your yacht or running with your grandchildren or nieces or nephews? Do you want to continue building? Think about what do you want that to look like so that you can create the vision to get there. And the vision may alter, it may evolve. You'll always have a foundation, but it'll evolve as you evolve because we change. We're different people every few months, every few years. But you still want to have some type of baseline vision and some goals of what you're trying to get towards. And being action oriented, right? Doing the things. Yes, you're going to write them down and it's going to be like, oh, Lindsay, this was a lot. I wasn't expecting that from my lunch and learn. Okay. But I need you to be action oriented. I say it all the time. A good friend of mine, Quinn Conyer, she said, Lindsay, way too often we are information rich and execution poor. I know y'all heard that before if you've heard me speak. You say it again, right? Put some action behind it. Do something. What is one thing that you can do between now and the end of the year that helps to align here with where we are today? Because the actual doing is what helps you to create confidence around the things that you're doing. But also being able to surround yourself with the right people who's going to also pour into you and reinstill those reasons why you're amazing and why you're eligible to do the thing. Even if you feel like you haven't been a great manager or a great steward of what you've had, you can always grow in that. And that's okay. But a part of it, just like we started with talking about affirmations, you got to be intentional every single day and to debunk that stinking thinking because thoughts are going to come. Thoughts that are going to try to keep you from believing that you can truly be wealthy, keep you from believing that you can truly increase your cash flow, keep you from believing that you can't plan, right, your finances over the next 3 years. I feel strongly about them. The thoughts are going to come. But I think the biggest thing is acknowledging that the thoughts are going to come. And that's okay. Right? It's not ironic that all of us are women who's currently present right now. And for a lot of women, they still feel like money is a man's game, right? That women just can't have. Especially when we think about things that are more recent than we thought, right? Like the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, where women just became allowed to apply for credit on their own without the cosigner of a man. That was just 50 years ago. So it's really not that far. But you have to acknowledge that although these thoughts might come, we have to do our part to debunk them. so that we don't allow these thoughts to just settle in. Start reframing your money mindset, going from limited thinking to limitless thinking. From I'll never be financially free to I am in control of my financial future, because you are. Sometimes we need to be reminded, but you are. But that's a part of reshaping your relationship with money, is reshaping how you think about money. What is your mindset postured in? What are those thoughts that you are feeding off every day? Because you know who you talk to the most out of every single day? Yourself. Every thought, that's a conversation you just had with yourself. If you tell yourself all day long, "Ugh, I wish I had I shouldn't have did. Ugh, that was silly." If that's constantly what you're telling yourself over and over and over again, whether it's about money or not, you're creating that foundation that doesn't really promote growth for real. And we are all allowed to make mistakes. We're all allowed to not know. So you got to give yourself grace, just like you would give somebody else grace. Because you also got to do this in your business. Even when the product didn't launch the way you thought it was going to launch. Even when you slow down with your clients. Even when the grant stopped flowing in. Or the account got a little tight when that bill came around. You still have to remind yourself that this is temporary. It is just a moment. It is not the whole story. Really go from indulging in stinking thinking to growth mindsets, to financial growth. Because you can't grow financially from a mindset that isn't pruned enough for that level of growth. Like a farmer, right? I grew up watching my mom garden all my life. And there's a difference between just throwing seeds on ground that haven't been tilled to actually throwing seeds in the ground that's been tilled and that's been prepared for those seeds. You want to make sure that you're doing the work mentally to create a ground that can actually catch those seeds and nurture those seeds and create that growth mindset. Even if it doesn't look like today what you want it to look like, we got to start somewhere. And I promise you, the mindset that starts the habits, that builds upon those beliefs, that build upon the follow-up actions, that's what's going to help you to create a level of financial growth in your business and your personal finances.
And
You gotta
say,
believe it first. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say, I think what you said there, you said, even if it doesn't look like that today. And I think that's the hard part for people. They get stuck in that, oh, how am I going to get rid of this debt? Or how am I going to get this? Or how am I going to, because it doesn't look like that today. And like, you really do have to focus on that and get out of that space.
Yeah.
And I think I know that's a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. And I think it's about acknowledging that it takes everybody a different level of time to be able to move through those things.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to tell ourselves that we can't acknowledge it, right? Or that
Right.
it doesn't exist, or that we shouldn't feel a way when it does exist, right? We have to acknowledge
Right.
those things. But I think the most important is when you acknowledge it, right? To feel your feelings, because you're human, right? But let it flow through you and not let it build and sit in your body. Because sometimes
Mhm.
we carry a lot of pain, right? That also can come from stress and anxiety around situations.
Mhm.
Thank you for bringing that up, Lisa. Anyone else? Any reflections as we navigate the rest of this conversation?
I agree. I'm agreeing with all of it over here. It's true. You talk to yourself the most, and you have to tell yourself that you can do these things, and you have to value yourself. And if you don't value yourself, you don't set your price high enough, and you lose. And people pleasing is not going to earn you respect from clients. You may make some people happy, but it's not going to reach your goals and your financial pillars that you want to reach. So I think it's important to work on that inner part of yourself and build that confidence level and that, invest in yourself and know your worth and keep those boundaries firm.
That's great. That's exactly right. Thank you for those reflections. And I want to affirm you here a bit, right? A, a part of people pleasing, right, is us desiring to make sure that we're taking care of our customers, right, or our family.
Yeah.
And not all of that is bad, right? I think it's just how we navigate it in those cases. But you said a very important word that I don't want you to even ignore: boundaries, right? I think it's about building those healthy boundaries that we respect, first of all, for ourselves, and then being able to teach other people how to respect them. But, don't feel totally bad that you know how to take care of people, right? That's where that people pleasing spirit still comes in a positive way. We just don't want it to run the business, right? Just come in and compliment when it needs to.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for reflecting in that way. I'm sure it wasn't what you was expecting today, but it's going to be something that you chew on over the next couple of weeks.
For sure.
Now, as we think about, our thoughts and our habits and all the things that contribute to how we show up financially, and when we think about, Lindsay, this is where I want to be. I want to be a planner. I want to be able to execute. I think it's also being able to fully identify again where we are in every aspect, especially in those aspects that contribute to your financial future, right? Like your financial strengths. What are they? Being able to do a personal SWOT analysis. And really, you should be doing this every so often, every 2 years. Once a year is healthy as well, just depending on how much shifting you have going on in your life. But identifying your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Really thinking about what are those strengths that I might not even consider strengths? And what are those things that are actually working for my good? But also being able to identify what are those things that aren't so good. So a couple of questions that just will get you to thinking, right? And jot some of this down for your reflection work later on. But for your strengths, what is good about your financial situation? Do you have recurring income? Right? Can you say that although it might not be as high as you want, you still have some type of recurring income? Or what financial achievements are you proud of? Right? Think about those things. You've secured contracts for the rest of the year. That is amazing. That is a strength.
Yeah.
And then we start thinking about, okay, what are those weaknesses? Again, not to sit on them, right? But to acknowledge them so that we can create solutions. What things do we need to avoid doing and why? Are we overspending, right? Are we not promoting enough to actually get clients? Or are we not helping our income? Have we not done the things that were on the to-do list to help us to cross some things off? Did we not submit that grant application? Do we procrastinate a little bit? What are those weaknesses? And they're not to make you feel bad. They're just areas for you to be able to identify need a little work.
Mm-hmm.
What opportunities do you have in your near future? What do you see coming? Is there a big client? Is there a grant that's coming through? Do you anticipate an increase? Are there any easy wins that you can quickly check off the list? Lindsay, I got an ebook sitting in my Canva that's been in there for 6 months. Do you just need an edit, right? And get it out there. What is that thing? How can these opportunities allow you to play off of some of your strengths, to produce something, to accomplish something, to fill a gap somewhere? But also asking yourself, what are those threats? Do you anticipate any major or large expenditures? Do you anticipate potentially losing some clients based on financial adjustments in their calendar or in their budget sheet? What weaknesses could become threats? And then these are just some examples, right? A strength could be, Lindsay, I got an emergency fund. I might not have 3 full months of expenses, but I got something. Lindsay, I got that steady income, or I got a roll. Or right now, Lindsay, I'm holding on to some good credit. What are those strengths? And then think about those weaknesses, write them down so that you know what you're actually addressing. Because you can't address it if you keep sweeping it under the rug, and I'll get to it later. later will never come. Those opportunities that are ahead, these are some examples. I have a skill that I can monetize, what does that look like? But also threats. We know holidays is coming up. And for most of us, I know that the holidays come up the same time every year, but sometimes we still forget to prepare for those holidays that's coming up every year. Think about those things, and when you write them down, let's start building the routine that can help you address those things. From all the discoveries that you have for yourself, I want you to think about some SMART goals, and they can be, what are your SMART goals this last quarter of the year, 2 months? It could be, Lindsay, I'm gonna at least update QuickBooks, or I'm gonna at least get an accounting system if I don't have one. Let me start on it now before January get here. What are those SMART goals? Make sure they're specific, they're measurable, actually attainable. Are they realistic? And are you setting a time frame to it? Lindsay, I'm going to update those things by December 15th. What does that look like for you? Let's set you some goals. And what do you need to get there? Making sure that we create that blueprint for your dollars personally and in business, because they're separate. Even if your business is your primary source of income personally, we want to make sure that the books are clean with a transfer, right? We don't want to see your personal expenses in your business bank statements, okay? Not stepping on nobody's toes, because I know we don't do that over here. But clean transfers and being mindful of how we're spending, because we got to be good stewards of what we're given so that more can come. How often are you reviewing those goals? How often are you looking at those budgets? What does that look like? What's going to help you be consistent? Because everybody should have a money date with themselves at least once a month. At least once a month. What do you want to go over in that money date? When are you going to have it? You know your schedule better than me. You don't have to tell me, but at least schedule it. And even if you say, you know what, Lindsay, every month is sounding like a lot and we're just starting here. One money date before now and the end of the year to really see it all, address it so that we can start working on our plan for 2026. How often do you want to come back to your goals? And do what feels good to you. Now, at some point, right, if you're in a family and it's multiple people making financial decisions, we want to get to a point where we're having productive meetings, right, as a unit. But you got to start with you first, because if you're not doing it with yourself first, you're not going to be too consistent with nobody else either. It might feel like it, but we're not, for real. And y'all like to keep it honest, because I fall in that category too sometimes. But I got to reel myself back on in. We can restart every single day. We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to start doing. Here's a quote that says, "My wealth is made up of more than the dollars and cents that sit in my bank account." Wealth is about you having financial prosperity, plus the peace of mind and personal power that come as a result of your intangible wealth. Your intangible wealth will unlock much tangible wealth in your life, by Sharice Johnson. She authored this book called A Wealthy Girl, and I think everybody should read it. But I want you all to do the work, right? You sacrificed your time to come today. So I want to make sure that you have some expectations, just like I know you had expectations of me on what I was going to give you on how to reshape your relationship with money, but I got expectations of you too. I want you to do the work outside of this hour with me today. I want you to do some work on your mindset. Start having conversations with yourself about what you saw, or when did these thoughts that sometimes go across your mind, when did they transpire for you? to start working on rewiring your mind. And for a lot of us, we got to do a lot of unlearning before we can relearn. But the objective of all of this is just to start intentionally transforming your knowledge. Stop running away from your banker, actually pulling up and scheduling a conversation. Get to know them for real. Let them get to know you. I know they ask a lot of questions. I know they're in your business. But it can be for good reasons, because they might want to expose you to additional products and services that may be healthy for you. I know sometimes some bankers can feel a little salesy, feel a little off-putting. But let's just give somebody some grace and build a relationship with a banker somewhere. Because they'll also help educate you too. They'll connect you to resources and tools so that you can actually start doing the work to transform your habits. You got to do everything else first before your habits are going to actually reflect the change. Forgot about that part. Y'all are going to hear me today. You're going to think about it a little bit. You might come back to your notes in a couple of days, or you might not come back for another month from now. But whenever you're ready, then the habits are going to start to shift for real. You're going to see different movement. But a part of that, because you don't walk with Lindsay beside you every single day, you're going to have to also do the work to shift sometimes what your community of support looks like around you. What does your village look like? And even if it's like Lindsay, realistically speaking, physically, much isn't going to change. What virtual community can you find yourself a part of so that you can get poured into and to connect with like-minded individuals while working on yourself, while still navigating the many things that we have to navigate in life? But you can't always be the smartest one in the room, and you can't always be the one that everybody comes to solve the problems. How can you be in spaces where you're edified like this all the time, where it's not just a quick hour in your schedule? To get loved on like this, how can you get loved on like this all the time? By the people who want to see you win, who want to support your business, who want to see you move your cash flow, who want to see you hire and do all the things. But you got to do that work. We're willing to support you in that work. I've dropped all of my contact information here on the screen for you. Connect with me, share some of your stories. I didn't share in the beginning that I am a recovering banker, as some would call it. I started my career in the banking industry as a part-time teller through branch management. And that's where I originally met Lisa and her entire team. Because as a banker, it was important for us to have CDFI partners, those community development financial institutions, who we can connect and collaborate with. Because the bank isn't going to say yes all the time. I'm just being honest. They're not going to say yes all the time. But just because they don't say yes, that doesn't mean that your need goes away. It just means that we might need to pivot how we access that need. And that's where Lisa's team comes into play as CDFI partners to provide the additional capital. But you got to get to know your banker. You got to get to having those conversations. As a banker, I was sharing this information with clients, making those email introductions. So you want to make sure that as you all are building your business, as you're reframing your strategy, that you're also thinking about those areas of opportunity. Feel free to scan the QR code on the screen. It takes you to an introduction of a brand new ebook we just launched, 50 Questions to Ask Your Banker. So if you say, Lindsay, you said go and talk to my banker, but what do I even say? There you go.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you all for being here. I would love any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, feedback.
Thank you so much. I'm a former banker myself, so I know exactly where you're coming from. And yes, it's important to get to know your banker and have lots of connections and good insight. So I totally agree.
Yeah, I
Any
agree.
questions?
What was the name of the other book that you had mentioned?
A Wealthy Girl.
A Wealthy Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your book?
Has invited me to weekly meetings and he's a member of the Chamber of Commerce, which is, huge. And so you can go to these business meetings and meet other business owners. It's not the same people every meeting. And like, I've been so busy in the field, it's been very difficult for me to get to those meetings, but I realize how important it is and how it can open up a wealth of resources, maybe some more clients.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think, as you also get to a space where you're comfortable delegating some of those tasks, and sometimes we gotta create the budget for the assistant, but when you start delegating those things that you might not love to do, right? Or those things
Yeah.
that consistently need to be done while you're out there shaking hands and kissing babies and signing checks and all the things. Having somebody who can do that for you to give you more time to go and make more money and get more contracts and all the things.
Yes.
But
So
that's the work for it.
I was going to say another goal and another strategy for 2026, and I'm already working on that. So there's another thing. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm so excited for you. And as you start to do those things, honestly, I say just a little bit, right? Just a little bit every day. And even if some days you can't make any progress, just try not to have any setbacks, right? As best as possible.
Right.
Just keep moving, right? Just keep moving. But I'm excited for you both. Thank you for your time. And if ever, myself, my team can be a support, I am here. Lisa has me back a few times a year. So, we have another session coming up in November. But I appreciate you all and look forward to supporting you on your journey.
Hope to see you again.
Yes, you will.
Yes, thank you so much, Lindsay.
Yep. Thank you for pouring into us today.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Great full time. You got to put your feet all the way in. That's what you got. You're going to see it happen.
Yep. Yep.
That's right.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
You're doing it, girl. You're
Yes,
doing it.
Yep.
And you're here today. So you're going in the right direction.
Yep.
Exactly right.
I'm doing it too. My husband has a landscaping business.
Oh,
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's right, Lisa.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you guys so much. Let me know if you need anything, or Lindsay know if you need anything else from her. And hopefully you can be on our next class as well. Let me see what the date is because I forgot already. Credit repair is November 11th, and it's in the evening from 6 to 7.
6 to 7. Okay. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
For the rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.